Determining whether two four-sided figures are similar. So just like we looked at with the two triangles, we can look at the names of the shapes to determine corresponding sides. Corresponding sides are sides that are in the same relative position to each other. So in quadrilateral ABCD, which happens to be a trapezoid, I'm going to label A as 1, B is in the second position, C is in the third, and D is in the fourth. Then we have EFG. E is in the first position, F is in the second, G is the third letter, and H is the fourth. Now, that means that the first and the second letter in the first shape corresponds to the first and the second letter in the second shape. That means AB corresponds to EF. Those are corresponding sides. So let's test out the ratios between AB and EF. And I'm going to go, whenever I'm writing the ratios, I'm always going to do the large shape over the small shape. And I have to keep this consistency so that my answers are proportional. So we have AB measures 6 and EF is 4. If I simplify by dividing by 2, that is going to give me 3 halves. Now let's look at the next pair of corresponding sides. Let's look at CD, the third and the fourth letter would correspond to GH, the third and the fourth letter. So we have CD, the base, corresponds to GH, which is also the base. So we'll do CD, which is the large shape, and then GH from the smaller. So CD measures 16 and GH measures 12. If I simplify by dividing by 2, that gives me 8 over 6, and I can divide by 2 again, and that's going to give me 4 over 3. Ooh, that is not matching. So these are not corresponding sides. Not corresponding, which means these are not proportional. The ratios of the length of the corresponding sides were not the same, so not equal ratios. If these were similar, then the ratios would have been the same. Well, let's look at identifying more corresponding sides. That's an important strategy to know. So the first letter A and D, which is the fourth letter, would correspond to the first and the fourth letter in the second shape. So we know AD corresponds to EH. So AD from the large corresponds to EH from the smaller. So we have 9 over 6. If we divide by 3, that's 3 halves. And then BC, that was the second and the third, would match or correspond to the second and the third letter in the second shape. So if we do BC, that corresponds to FG. So 9 over 6 divided by 3, and that's 3 halves. So these three, while these three matched, this one did not. Therefore, this is not a proportional relationship. These are not similar. No. Now, when you're talking about angles, angle A, so angle A corresponds to angle E. Or if you think of it as DAB corresponds to angle HEF. And this angle would correspond to that angle, D and H. Then we have B would correspond to angle F, and angle C would correspond to angle G. So corresponding sides and corresponding angles in similar figures would be the same, but because these are not similar, that would not work. But I wanted you to have an idea of how angle relationships work as well.